Hello everyone, my name is Rob, welcome to Kinetic Rugby League. In this video I'm going to be giving you my Super League Round 27 tips and predictions. Now if you want to see how I got on last week, you can check the pinned comment down below. But without further ado, let's get started on the first game for this week. Kicking things off, we have Leeds Rhinos versus Castleford Tigers. Starting with league position, Leeds sit in 8th, Castleford sit in 11th. In terms of form, Leeds have won 2 in the last 5 and so have Castleford. So Leeds have been all over the place the last couple of weeks. It has not been good for them. Their playoff chances are now gone. Castleford have, can we say improved? Is it worth saying improved? They've improved. Let's do it with air quotes. I think Leeds might just be shot at the moment and are just in complete disarray. Whereas Castleford, going into this game, yes, they're already safe, but they have more, I guess, incentive to finish with, or to try and finish the season with some pride. In that, yes, we just avoided relegation, but let's try and beat a close rival at the end of the season. And it almost creates that narrative of, did Castleford almost have a better season than Leeds? I know they didn't, but at the end of the season, Leeds fans will feel so much lower than Castleford fans will feel because they're now safe and they beat a close rival. I think Leeds are just about strong enough. I can see Castleford winning this game, but it's just, for me, it's not likely enough. But I do think there's a hell of a challenge that they can put into this one because Leeds also want to finish with some pride now that they're no longer a playoff contender. The fans will be extremely disappointed with how things have gone and how they've kind of thrown it away. Because there was a slight improvement a few weeks back. They looked a little bit better. And then it's just gone completely wrong. So I think a very close game is likely here. So I'm going to go with Leeds Rhinos 20, Castleford Tigers 18. Next up we have the Leigh Leopards versus Wigan Warriors. Starting with league position, Leigh currently sits in 4th, Wigan sit in 1st. In terms of form, Leigh have won 2 in the last 5, Wigan have won 5 in the last 5. Right now, for me, Leigh is, they're just falling off ever so slightly. Just a little bit, not massively, but I'm now starting to have their doubts, or have my doubts about them. I have tried to back them a couple times in the last few weeks. I have tried to make scorelines closer, but I don't know if they can really compete now at the very top. I think on their best day, they can beat anybody, but how things have gone, how their form has been, I can't back them. I just can't do it. So, and looking at how Wigan have been, they've been exceptional, free-flowing, battering teams, look really comfortable, controlling games well. I believe this is the televised game of the weekend. Wigan are just too strong, and they want that league leaders shield. They can guarantee it if they win, because there's no way that even if, say, Helens win and Catalans win, that they can score enough points to overtake Wigan. So they will want that trophy, that league leaders shield, and I don't think there's any way they slip up here aside from injuries to key players, sin bins, red cards, that kind of thing that kind of throw a normal game off balance. So I think a fairly strong statement win for Wigan is likely here. So I'm going to go with Leigh Leopards 12, Wigan Warriors 28. Next up we have the Huddersfield Giants versus Warrington Wolves. Starting with league position, Huddersfield sit in 9th, Warrington sit in 6th. In terms of form, Huddersfield have won 2 in their last 5, Warrington have also won 2 in their last 5. Huddersfield are also a team that was fairly close to playoff contention, but are now unable to. Well, that was kind of a couple of weeks ago where they were unable to, but they have really stepped up their performances. They played a couple tough games, and they've really competed quite well. And the one thing that I've mentioned about them for quite a while is that they've got great individual players. They can really change a game. I think Connor is one of them. Theo Farge is another. Peets can do it here and there, I think. Masters has plenty of NRL experience. He, has had some good moments this season, but Farge and Connor especially. And Will Price, of course. Will Price is one of those key players. Warrington have started to improve since Darryl Powell left. I think 2 weeks ago against... Who was it against? Salford. Really poor performance. Lucky to be in that game, to be honest. Last week against Saints, I would say, first half, not really much control. Very sluggish in attack. Not much going for them. Kicking game was awful. Again, and I'm gonna make a comment here in a second, so bear with me. But second half was a lot better, a lot more intense. There was an opportunity for Warrington to come out and win this game because of the sin bin that happened to, I think it was Benison. Is it Benison or Beninson? I do apologise. I think it's Benison. With 3 minutes to go, there's a chance to equalise. So defensively, Warrington were actually pretty strong. Defending their own line, they did a pretty good job. In attack, it was sluggish. I think Connor Wrench is still maybe not fully fit and has been out for a little while. To throw him into the such a big game against Saints, who are a really efficient defensive outfit, he was always going to struggle a little bit. And then Hayes, his first game this season, his first Super League home debut, and I think did a pretty good job. It's not, it wasn't a world-beating standard, but I think he did a pretty damn good job. Now, here's the comment. This is kind of a side point from this game, right? Wire fans, we have complained about Josh Drinkwater all season, basically. We've asked the question, what is it he actually does? What does he do? Personally, I don't know. One of the first few kicks in the game, there was a huge gap between the winger of St. Helens and Jack Welsby. I can't remember who was on the right-hand side. It would have been Makinson, I think. Between Makinson and Welsby, a huge gap. And I'm looking at this massive gap. Drinkwater's about to kick on the last tackle, and I think just right down the middle. Just go right down the middle. Where'd he go? Straight into the arms of Jack Welsby. Directly to where he was already stood. Didn't make him chase for it or anything, just straight to them, and that allows him to return the ball in better field position. Not even letting them expend any energy to go to the ball to pick it up. He just had to stand there, wait for it to come down, and then just go. He did that multiple times. Hayes' first kick of the game, thrown into a situation having to replace George Williams against St. Helens in his debut home Super League fixture. His first kick is almost perfect. It goes right over the head of Makinson and lands almost just in front of the line in the in-goal area. It is almost perfect for his first kick, and which is better than anything that Josh Drinkwater has done throughout the entire season. Yes, he's got a few 40-20s, fair enough, but you should expect that from a player of his experience. Right, that's rant over. I apologise. But back onto the game. Warrington, I think there's just enough fight in them. Paul Vaughan won't be available after a ban. I don't know if that can get overturned. I don't know if it's already been appealed or whether there can be another appeal process, but I'm going to assume that he's out for the rest of the season now with a suspension. Huddersfield don't have that much to fight for aside from pride. Warrington do have pride to fight for and a playoff spot. And I think I've seen just enough in Warrington's attack and defence so far. They're just about creating enough opportunities and they're just about holding teams out just enough to think that they can compete with Huddersfield here, who have looked a lot better the last few weeks. But I don't think there's going to be that many points scored. So I'm going to go with Huddersfield Giants 12, Warrington Wolves 16. Next up we have St. Helens versus Hull FC. Starting with league position, Saints currently sit in 3rd place on the ladder. Hull FC sit in 10th. Saints have won 5 in the last 5. Hull FC have won 0 in the last 5. I don't see Hull FC winning this game. Now, I didn't see them winning last time out against Saints, and yet they beat them comfortably. So, you can look at it and say, well, Saints aren't, impenetrable. They can be beaten. Of course they can be beaten. Anyone can be. But with the way that Hull have been playing, compared to the way that Saints have been playing, Saints can really take over a game and control it. Even if Hull were to score early points, you always feel that Saints can come back into it because they've got that individual brilliance to do it. And as long as they stick to their process, they'll come out on top eventually. Because like the way that they are all able to just shift across defensively and stop any kind of overlap that you try and work in attack is really, it's impressive, but so annoying when you have to play against it. Hull FC, they've had their moments this season. It's been few and far between. They do have decent individual players in there, but it's not going to be a good night. It's really not. So I think an absolute battering is likely here. So I'm going to go with St Helens 40, Hull FC 6. Next up, we have Salford Red Devils versus Catalans Dragons. Starting with league position, Salford currently sit in 7th on the ladder. Catalans sit in 2nd. In terms of form, they've both won 3 in the last 5. Now, this is a big game for both teams. Salford are trying to chase playoff rugby, and Catalans are looking for the League Leaders Shield. In terms of Catalans' chances of getting the League Leaders Shield, I think it is possible. They're coming up against a Salford team that isn't amazing. They've had their struggles, but are really fighting towards the back end of the season. I think there is a possibility that Leigh do beat Wigan. Like, it can happen. They're still a strong team, even though I went with Wigan to win fairly comfortably. There is a world in which Leigh can win, of course. Catalans do have a better goal difference than St Helens by, I think, 62. So as long as they were to win and Wigan was to lose, I think Catalans get the League Leaders Shield. Salford, however, as I said, they've been fighting really hard the last few weeks. Some improved performances. Last week, they were a pointless team. 12-0 against Hull Kingston Rovers. Now, Hull KR, they're a class side, so to only lose by 12 is not, it's not the end of the world, but to not put up any points is a little bit of a worry. Now, what I have been hearing is that there's a bit of an illness going around the Salford camp as of late. I'm not sure whether it's just a cold, the flu, or it is actually COVID. Some people have said it's COVID, but I don't actually know. It's not been, from what I've seen, it's not been confirmed what it is exactly. So I do think the way that Salford have been fighting, I think there's the absolute possibility that they come out and fight this week in a fairly competitive game. I think ultimately Catalans are just too strong, and the illness will kind of be an issue in terms of fatigue. So I think the first half, Salford can really put up a good fight. We could be looking at like 12-all at half-time, something like that. And then as the game goes on, Catalans, they've got the forward pack, they've got the quality spine to really wear them down. And of course, Salford do have a great spine that can fight back. I think they've got one of the best, most balanced, well-balanced spines in Super League, but that... Looking at how strong Catalans are, and the way that they've almost been a little bit off by their standards the last few weeks, they want to come out with a strong statement win. Of course, I understand what the scoreline was last week, I know, but a little bit before that, it looked like it was kind of tapering off. But a huge win for them last week. I think they're just going to be too strong in attack, but Salford will absolutely give everything they've got because they want that playoff spot, and I think that there is a possibility Huddersfield do beat Warrington, so they could certainly get it, and they do need to win this game. They absolutely need to. But I'm going to go with Salford Red Devils 18, Catalans Dragons 26. Finally for this week, we have Wakefield Trinity versus Hull Kingston Rovers. Starting with league position, Wakefield are in 12th place on the ladder. Hull KR are in 5th on the ladder in terms of form. Wakefield have won 0 in the last 5. Hull KR have won 4 in the last 5. I said Hull KR, not Hull, because I know some people aren't happy with me calling them Hull, even though it's literally in the name, guys. It's in the name. So Hull KR, they can still fight for 4th place. If Leigh lose and Hull KR win by a decent enough margin, they can take 4th place. It's entirely possible. I do think a huge win is possible here for Hull KR. The reason why... There's two reasons really why it might not be a huge margin and that Wakefield could challenge. Number one is that what Hull KR might try and do is rest some people. I know they want to win, but they might rest a few key players just because they are already, as a confirmed playoff team, maybe they want to fight for 4th place. That's completely fine. I've got no complaints with that. That's what I think they should do. I just think there's the possibility that they rest 1 or 2 key players just to be careful going into playoffs because they already have that spot available. And Wakefield want to finish the season with some pride at home. So even though they've already gone down, they just want to finish the season with some pride. I know I've kind of used that word for a lot of teams, but it's the last game of the regular season. And for those that don't have anything to really fight for, pride is the only thing that they've got left. So that could be a huge incentive for some camps as opposed to others. I think Wakefield, more so than anyone else really, is to finish this season on a high at home against a strong team would just be... It'd be something for the fans. It doesn't change the outcome. It doesn't mean that they're safe anymore, but it's just something, and I think they will fight for that something. Hull KR can absolutely run away with this game. They could score 30, 40, but I'm thinking that Wakefield are going to give it absolutely everything they've got, and I do still think there is the possibility some players do get rested by Hull KR. If there are, it won't be many. It's not going to be a complete overhaul. It might just be 1 or 2 key players, and maybe they'll try and play a little bit safe, focus mostly on the kicking game and not try and be too aggressive versus Wakefield. So I do think it's not necessarily a close scoreline, but it's not astronomical either. So I'm going to go with Wakefield Trinity 12, Hull Kingston Rovers 24. So that is going to be it for this video. If you have any predictions for this week, let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know how you got on last week. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.